And I remember praying and asking God for a man of God. And I'm like, maybe this can be my husband in my mind, but I'm like, I ain't right. I'll run ropes around the shower. He ain't ready for me. So in my mind, I really thought I wasn't qualified for a man like him. Because he came through and he was different than what I was used to. I'm used to something that it wasn't right and he wasn't it. So I'm like, God, you ain't blessing me like that. I ain't even about to go that route. He made me comfortable enough to joke with him. And I knew when he wasn't around, something was missing. And I'm like, when he did leave, I realized it. And I'm like, oh, where you been? How you doing? Different things like that. So it was just all friendly. I wasn't looking, but I was like desiring. At that moment, I didn't know. I didn't say that was my husband. I was just like, he's a really nice man.
Just as the word is a mirror to us, your spouse is a mirror and they show you. You know what I mean? Ain't no hiding from you literally. It's so you can't. They know your patterns. They know how you are. And when they identify that there's something wrong, you know, they may not just be like, okay, I see you doing this. I see you doing that. Why are you doing it? And more so like, God, I identified this. I see that. I'm going to put this in your hands. I'm going to put this in your hands. Like this, it may piss me off. It may make me want to do this, but it's like, you know, God, I'm going to completely trust you because this is the enemy attacking my life. Or even with our, families, everything, you got to keep your like this, you know what I mean? Like this, that's your marriage. And I knew that this was going to be like that.
Welcome to Unexplored Truths. I am your host, Tisha, and today I have two very special guests that I'm going to be interviewing today, and I'm very blessed to have them. If this is your very first time coming to this platform, I pray that you enjoy what you hear. Everything that I do is to give glory unto him, whether it be testimony, stories from the Bible, life, or just anything that the Lord places on my heart to share and to bring on this platform. If you have not subscribed or watched any of my other episodes, I encourage that you do. I feel that it will bless you on my other interviews or just individual episodes that I do. I post every Saturday at 7 p.m. Central Time. So feel free to go and check out my content, and I'm available on all social media platforms. And the links and everything will be in the description below. So before we start today, I would like to say a quick prayer, and then we'll go ahead and introduce the guests and get started. Holy Spirit, I thank you for today. I thank you for allowing us to gather in your name and to give praises unto you with testimony that will bless your people on today. Lord Jesus, I ask that you word our mouths, that we're able to share the testimony, for your word is a two-edged sword. Lord, let this word that goes out of our mouth be able to touch the hearts of your people, to get them to know that they're not the only person going through a similar situation or other situations, that you are not a God, that you would stand on your word to bring us through. Lord Jesus, I thank you for allowing us to gather, and I ask that you breathe the breath of your Holy Spirit on this platform. And Lord, I thank you, and I give you all the glory and honor in Jesus' name. All right, so here we go. They are married, and they are servants of the house of the church that I attend, which is GRU Ministries. If you've watched this before, you've heard me talk about the ministry that I'm in, and it is a deliverance ministry, and it is just bringing forth all types of disciples. And I'm just so happy to be a part of this ministry. Just a little bit about them, because I do not know their story, is just what I've seen. They're very humble servants of God. Every time I see them at the church, rather be ushering or just inviting people or shaking their hand, they're very just open and warm. Like they have a very, very humble spirit. And I can just tell that the Lord is using them to just serve. So I praise God for having them. Prophet Anthony and Helena, welcome to the platform.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Do you guys have anything that you want to say before we get started?
Let's get started.
Time to get started.
Okay, sounds good. So I would like to start with, some of the questions are going to be for the both of you, and some of them are going to be individual. And guys, I want you to stay for the whole episode, because there's going to be a segment that I'm going to do with questions about marriage that I honestly feel that it will bless you once I get to that segment. So please stay tuned after they tell their individual testimonies and tune into that segment. So the first question that I have, I'll start with Mrs. Helena. What was your childhood like?
My childhood growing up, I am from a big family. I have 9 siblings. My mom had 10 children. I'm number 8 out of 10. She had 5 girls and 5 boys. But growing up, it was very challenging. I was not a part of a 2-household family where it was a mom and a dad. My mom was a single mom. She struggled to take care of 10 kids on her own. Went through a lot of rejection, frustration, fears, anxiety. But growing up, I had to realize who I was on my own by watching my mother come out of certain things. So which was a blessing because, I went through a lot in my younger childhood. We're going through incest, different things, just dealing with household issues and trauma. But once my mom was able to be delivered and set free, I was able to come and understand my identity through how she taught us. She started taking us to church. I started to be a part of youth ministries. I was able to see what God was doing in my life. So it kind of transitioned about 16, 17 when I understood or was trying to understand my purpose. But yeah, it was trying growing up. It wasn't easy, but by the grace of God, it was a part of my process.
So you were you said the 8th?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm the youngest girl.
Okay. How were you in school? Like, did you feel that you were accepted? Like, did you feel like that you belonged in the family and in school? Like, because you say you struggled with like rejection and stuff like that. Where do you think that stemmed from? Or did that venture into life as well?
I think both, especially coming from household. It's just you have a lot going on when you're in a household with that many children. Your mom trying to make you trying to figure stuff out, so you see different things and you feel like you don't have a voice. So I was voiceless. I just went about life watching the things around me and just flowing with it, I guess. I had to just survive. Like, I had to just watch. I had to just go with the flow. It wasn't easy going through school because I wasn't really an in-crowd person. I really didn't like people. I wasn't an outsider. I connected, but I wasn't in tune with trying to be a part of what was going on. I literally went to school and came home. I didn't really care to be a part of the school environment. I never went to prom. I didn't do the homecomings. I didn't hang out on the weekend with friends. I just really was like, it is what it is. I'm just going to go to school, do what I need to do, come back home.
Just to yourself?
Yeah, to myself.
Yeah. Were your other siblings like that, or was that just primarily just your personality?
I think it was just my personality at that point. I had sisters that went to prom, that was engaged with different things, but me, I just wasn't never in tune with it. Yeah. Probably felt like I just wasn't good enough, or I just didn't see that I wanted to be a part of what everybody else had going on.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like it was important. Yeah, mentally I was like, I'm okay with where I'm at.
On something else.
Very nonchalant. I was very like, it is what it is.
Was finances big? Because 10 children, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
So finances, I'm assuming, were tight with the single parent household. Were you able to do the things that you wanted to do, or was kind of like the financial situation of the household, you weren't able to do as much as you kind of wanted to?
Yeah. I think public aid was our biggest thing. Growing up in Chicago, my mom was on public aid. We had the food stamps.
Same thing, like Section 8?
Section 8, food stamps, government assistance. So we didn't have good income coming in. We was always on Section 8, government assistance. So we depended on the state to pay our rent. We depended on the state to feed us. We depended on the state to do everything for us. So it wasn't like I experienced money. I remember times where I was a cheerleader and I wanted to be on the cheerleading team. Coaches and stuff had to pay for my uniform. People in the community paid for us to do certain things. We was one of the household where it was like, oh, there go the kids, there go the mom with 10 kids that need help. So community came together, help us, food pantries, donations, nonprofits, different things like that.
So Prophet Anthony, so same question for you. Like, how was your childhood? Where did you grow up? How was your family and your upbringing?
I would say ours is actually opposite. My upbringing was a little different because my parents, they strive for us to not be what they saw. I have 3 sisters and then I have 2 brothers. I'm the second oldest on both sides, so we do have a blended family. I too also I had to grow up fast though. Young, also experienced molestation too. Also experienced rejection as well. And but I saw my family thrive, and the biggest part for me was my stepfather. It's so funny, we were actually having a conversation today. My biological father passed away when I was 15. And 2 years prior to that, I wasn't actively, being around him because he was like struggling really bad with life and drugs, alcohol. Like he just really had a heart. I mean, he was 33 when he passed away. So just a lot of, back and forth. But I had to grow up fast because a lot of people depended on me. As far as coming into my own, I had a relationship with God very, very young. Like I heard the voice of God at the age 6, right? I knew his voice. I had angelic visitations, demonic visitations, and I mean, a little secret to the demonic world. When you go through like any type of sexual immorality, right? It is initiation into some type of witchcraft, right? So there was a lot of like issues that I had growing up fighting, whether it be my siblings or cousins or against my parents, you know what I mean? Or like seeing certain things, like we had I don't want to say we had it rough, but at a certain point, like finances weren't an issue, but relationship was, because I seen my parents divorce, then I seen my stepdad and my mom kind of like go in different places back and forth. But by the grace of God, he healed. You know what I mean? Yeah. I have an older brother. He's about 40, so we're 8 years apart. And you would think that at the time, these are people you look up to. My brother, he has some issues. He kind of he liked the streets. He liked women. He liked just being out here. So I'm like, I didn't have that much of an example. And I told you, my biological father really, he tried. He was a great dad, but he wasn't like, cognizant of certain things. Like he just did his best, but he was a great father. But as far as a role model, I had to look up to my stepfather, who grew up in a 2-parent household, but he was also taken care of by his stepfather, which was amazing. You know what I mean? And that's how I became who I am as far as like manhood, taking care of my family. My stepfather took us away, and I don't even say stepfather. I just call him pops. That's my dad. My father's my father, and this is my dad. But he took us away from, like, he's seen the incest in the family. He's seen the addictions in the family. He saw that stuff within the family, and guess what? He snatched us away from all of that. And then in a child's mind, you would think like, why are you taking away from my cousins and stuff like that? Well, it was good, because, we all in the streets getting bullets flying past our heads and doing certain things. Like, it was just like, wasn't well. And when he like snatched us away from all of that, it was a place of protection. Like I seen what it was to protect a family. So I didn't face too much rejection within my household because my family wasn't like, my parents weren't the type of family that would disassociate themselves because of whatever. Like I don't disassociate myself from you because you are addicted. I don't disassociate myself with you because you may be dealing with identity or homosexuality or prostitution. Like they're not like that. They're loving and they'll love you to the place of healing. But friends, right? The people that I was around, like peer group, that's where I got the most rejection because they didn't accept the light that I had. It was more so envious of the light. You know what I mean? So I have my family who's loved me to life. Like, I mean, they would do all of my family. Like, I can't even say anybody like hates me or whatever, dislike me growing up, anything. They all protected me. Again, when you go to school, growing up, because you asked my wife about school. Well, school was a little challenging because where I received favor, some people didn't like that. Yeah. They didn't like, how do you get this and we get this? You know what I mean? So it caused a lot of issues growing up and in ministry and in business. And I can go on, but that's where a lot of my rejection stemmed from. People who saw my light and wanted me to dumb it down.
They thought you were a teacher's pet.
I was going to say that, but because that came into my mind when a child called me that. I'm like, nothing about me is pet.
Yeah.
There's nothing about me.
It's favor.
It is.
What can you remember? You said that you had demonic and angelic encounters.
Yes.
Can you name one demonic encounter and an angelic encounter that you had that you remember?
Yes. Honestly, there's one specific demonic encounter that I had that I can never forget. I was in the 9th or 10th grade at the time. I was running track, and I came home. And I was really exhausted. I was a distance runner, so they really ran us. And I think that there's this thing called like a fartlek. It's you run and then you walk, and then you run and then you jog. It's like, I mean, it's terrible, but it's like conditioning. And then I just remember my legs is so much pain. So I'm like, come on, and I'm on the phone with either one of my friends or cousin, laying in the bed, and the phone, I don't know, it's to my right or left. I think it was to my, I forgot. But nevertheless, instantly, it was something detained me. My arms went to the back, and it was like as if a knee was in my back, and my whole body went to as if the cop is trying to put handcuffs on me. And then there's this tongue, I used to watch Harry Potter, not no more, but the group Slytherin, but it was almost like a snake tongue. I could hear it, and it was talking to me, and I guess it was I guess I was a threat to this thing because the way it held me down, I was like, mind you, I'm on the phone, I'm not asleep. I'm very much awake, and I didn't know anything like that could happen. So I just began to call the blood of Jesus, and as I'm opening my mouth, this thing has to let me go. It just let me go. And my grandmother at the time, she's in church, my dad's mom, and I'm like, okay, somebody has answers because I'm not saved at the time, but I do know God. I didn't do no witchcraft, no hoodoo, nothing no. I knew Jesus. I knew who Jesus was. I already had the encounters with God. Somebody needed to tell me some answers. Nobody told me no answers. That's how I knew of deliverance, because I knew that demonic forces were out there for real, ready to hurt. You know what I mean? And then angelic experience. I had a lot of angelic experiences. I'll say the one that was most precious is when I met Prophet. At the time I was like, man, I really don't want to deal with any more prophets. I just rather not, because again, there were a lot of prophets, people, who are mainstream, did not like me. So I'm like, I don't care at the end of the day, but I was like, God, if you want this man as my mentor, you're gonna have to show me something that you never shown me before. And at this time, I've seen angels before, so it's not like a surprise. But when this day, he invited us to his house to pray, 2 seraphim came, knocked me on my knees. It was a trance. Boom, knocked me on my knee. And then there was this long stairway that was lit up to heaven. And they took me there. Took me around heaven. I got to see what heaven looked like. Wow. I got to see what the throne of God looked like. Not the entire thing. I can only see the bottom. You can't see. It was to the place where you can't see up. Something's there. And it was what I could see but couldn't see was this, almost like a jewel, just rotate, spinning. You know what I mean?
Just in the middle of the air?
Yeah, on the throne. But you can't. I can't see it, but I know it's there. Making sense?
Yeah.
And it's just spinning. And as it's spinning, it's just something new is happening. Something new is. It's it was something how the Bible describes it is real. So that was, you you know what I mean? It was real.
It was. Sorry if I missed it. You said that was. Did you get prayed for by him? Or just
no? We were in prayer at his house.
Oh, okay.
I didn't get no. Prophet was. We were all praying at the time.
Okay.
We were all of us were praying. It was 9 of us, maybe. All of us just praying, and that's what happened.
Wow.
So he didn't touch me at that time. No.
Did anybody else see what you saw?
No, it was just me. Yeah, everybody had their own encounters, though.
Okay.
Everybody had their own encounters. But there was a time, side note, when we all went to the mountain. And everybody's seen angels. We've seen angels multiple times together as GRU. But the one time that was the scariest was, we were looking, and there was this light. I have pictures. There was this light over the mountain. And mind you, there's no lights out there. There's nothing other than the moon, light, none of that. Well, there was a light over the mountain. And I'm trying to fix my phone to take a picture of this other being that we seen. It was a deity. It was an angel that we see. It was there, but it didn't move. So I'm trying to take a picture of it, and then I'm this with my phone, and Prophet's Prophet, need to take a picture, and I'm looking, but I see something coming after. So we were seeing this bright flash. We all dropped. This mountain is not small mountain. It's a huge mountain, huge. We dropped. All of us dropped to our face because it was such a bright light coming at us, and then Prophet literally pressed the button as I'm holding the phone, and we seen the wing. And it just came so fast, and we all were just I just remember my stomach being in my mouth. Remember that? It was a lot of us. We all seen it at the same time. Yeah.
This is at Prayer Mountain.
This is at Prayer Mountain. Well, not the one in Dallas.
Okay.
The mountain we go to is like close like Amarillo area.
Okay. It's bigger than the
It's
Prayer
huge.
Mountain here.
Yeah, it's huge, and you gotta like really climb. Like it's not like here are trails. No, you have to climb. Like it's life or death. Like if you fall, you die, or you get hurt really bad. Yeah.
I remember him saying that because I remember he said one time he had to come down before it started to rain. Yeah. And as soon as they got down, I'm like, I've never been to that mountain, but I've been to Prayer Mountain in Dallas. Mm-hmm. And the first time that I went there, it was for, what was it? Apostle Richard. Do you know who that is? Apostle Richard. They were hosting like I can't think of the name of it, but they were hosting some sort of like just get together. I think it was like 1 or 2 days. Yeah. And I went with one of my sisters in Christ. And when she turned on the mountain, I just felt the presence of God there. I've never felt like we're not even close to she just turned the front wheels and they were about to direct us where to go. And I just felt the spirit of God there. And I was like, wow. Oh my God. So I can only imagine, I can only imagine having to climb up that mountain like that and experience the power that's there. Yeah. Because that place had you have a drive up, you don't have to climb, you just drive up it and you get out and you're on the mountain.
This one ain't like that. You do drive up and then you gotta walk a trail and then you gotta climb, you gotta find a way. Like it's
wow. Yeah. That's interesting. Oh. So you said something else too. So you said that your parents got divorced when you were 15.
Well, right? No, they were already divorced. They were divorced when I was 4.
When you were 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
My parents were divorced.
And when did your stepdad come into your life?
He's actually been in my life. Catch 22. Dad and my stepfather were friends, sort of. Like, they were like my stepfather's been in my life since before my dad was around. He grew up with my mom. So they've known each other since before I was born. My dad actually comes from the South. He came to Ohio. Okay. And that's where he met my mom. He was also younger than my mom, about 5 years. So my mom didn't even know that my dad was as young as he was either. So my mom, she was born in 70. My dad was born in 75. So they were like, kind of like a bad little situation, honestly. Yeah, she didn't know. He lied to her about her.
Yeah. Yeah. How did you get introduced to Christ though? Was it by your mom or was it by your grandma? Nobody?
My parents and then even my grandparents, they didn't force us to go to church and stuff like that. Like, nah, it didn't work like that. Mm-hmm. I heard the voice of God when I was young. I used to even go around praying, speaking life into them as a little boy. I don't know, it's weird. I don't know. But nobody like, oh, come to church. Like, no, I actually went myself. Even when I was like 15, I was still in the world. Drinking, smoking weed and stuff like that. Everything you think of, gambling, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I just caught this revelation though, like even during this time, I think I need to start studying more. You know what I mean? And
you just started reading the Bible?
I didn't just read, I studied. Okay. Even as a kid, I had I remember having this. I gave it to I can ask my mom. Now that I think about it today, there was this kid Bible that I had. And I remember when I did go to church, there was a church that we went to as a family. My grandmother would go on my mom's side. It's called the Light of Liberty Church. Because I do have family members that are in gospel, they are preachers. When I would go, and again, this is every so often, I would literally hear the preacher as he's speaking, finish his sentence. Mm-hmm. And they would just be like enamored, like, how is he doing it? Mm-hmm. But it wasn't me. It was the gift that I had. I have a gift. It's so interesting that there are certain passages in the Bible, even if I have not studied it, automatically come. It's the most interesting, but it's God. It's like if you reach a level of intimacy with God, I just feel like God chooses His own. Yeah. So regardless of how we get to Him, regardless of what He says to us to get to Him or what we have to go through, He chooses us. He causes us, and He chooses us. Mm-hmm. He chooses His own. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I believe that it was just something about whatever God mandated over my life, because, and you know, even if you talk to my wife about it, she's seen both sides of my family, right? Nothing to play with. I'm like literally a diamond in the rough, not lying to you. Whole different story. Like if you see me, see my family, it's a different story. Mm-hmm. Like it's like night and day. Yeah. Both sides. Mm-hmm. But God will select the bloodline breaker. Yes. To specifically destroy every designed or everything fashioned against that specific bloodline to build and establish his kingdom. And I just believe that's who I was. Nobody had to drag me there. I was at the time when my dad died, the church that he was going to, I'm like, I need to go to church. And that's the only one that I knew of at the time. I'm like, Grandma, like, how do I get to the church? She's like, she couldn't get me because she stayed close to the church. It would just be back and forth. I was like, you know what? I'll find a way. I found out that one of my substitute teachers in high school lived in the same city that I lived in. And she went to that church. Guess what? I found myself in her car every Sunday. My parents weren't in church. They didn't put religion on us. So.
I'm gonna go deeper in that in a second. Helena, because you explained a little bit of how you encountered God. You heard him, so nobody drew you, nothing like that. For you, you said that you were raised in the church, or did you guys go sometimes, or like how did you really like experience God, like when you were younger?
Actually, I watched my mother very closely, and with watching her, I seen how she wanted to come out of whatever she was going through. She was just different, and I knew she didn't want us to go through what she went through. Yeah. That was her prayer. I seen her pray, and I seen her work hard towards making sure we didn't have to suffer. So I guess once I seen my sister, because my mom, she got pregnant at 12, had her first child at 13. And she was like, I don't want none of my girls to go through that. So my sister ended up getting pregnant, I think around 16. And she was like, no, we're not doing this. So she, I remember her praying, and she was like, we going to church. When she found out my sister was pregnant, we went to church the next Sunday. And just watching how she did that and how she stopped smoking and how she was getting rid of, the men and the beers. And she was going to church faithfully every Sunday. I watched her process, and I watched how God was changing in her life. And I'm like, I know my mother. This ain't her, so it got to be a God. Yeah. So as she took us to church, one day she was like, nobody in this house will be able to stay here unless y'all go to church. If not, y'all have to leave. Y'all cannot stay in my house if y'all not going to church. So she drug all of us to church. And I remember us sitting there, and we just watching. We just watching, not even realize we were receiving. But I was just watching. I was watching the people around me. And I remember them putting us in children ministry. And you know how you go to children ministry, you go to the studies and different things like that? I was aware. I wanted to learn. I wanted to know why I didn't really why I was so quiet or standoffish or nonchalant, or why I didn't care about some things. So I was just trying to figure out who I was. And during that time, I think I found God within that process of me just watching my mom, her taking us to church, and me receiving from the people in the ministry. And that's where my encounter came with God. That's where my belief came. And that's when I started to pray. And I knew then I was an intercessor. I felt like that was because I knew how to communicate, and I know how to talk by myself. So I'm like, wow, I seen my mama talk to God, and whenever she asked him something, he responded. So let me try it. And as I started provoking God and asking him for certain things and to rip certain things from me, it started to happen. And I'm like, well, I don't even have to do that much. I only have to be perfect. I'm still wicked, but he's still changing. Okay. Some's here. And I just kept going.
How was your relationship with your father?
So my dad passed away when I was 6 years old. He was murdered in the streets of Chicago. And I remember certain moments with him, like going to the park, him, taking care of us in certain type of ways, coming over. But it's very blurry. But what I do remember, the night that he passed, he's supposed to came and got us to take us to visit for my birthday. And he never showed up. And we get a knock at the door saying that he was murdered. So that was like the moment where I remember, like, wow, I was really about to go over there and have a good time. And he never came. So we had little moments, co-parent situations where he'll come, pick us up, take us to his mom's house. We hang out with our cousins, and that was it. So,
were all of your brothers and sisters by the same mom and dad?
We have 2 dads. So the older 5 had their own, and then the younger 5 we have our own dad. So it's 2 dads.
Okay, so you were from
the younger 5.
Okay, the younger 5. So, Prophet Anthony, you said that your family, drugs, like all that kind of stuff. Like, how was the environment like there? I know a little bit of Chicago, Illinois is not the best, city as far as all the things that's going on there, but I don't really know much about Cleveland at all. Like the environment there, or was that kind of similar, like the places?
I was gonna say Chicago is super popular because of you got the difference, the scenery.
Yeah.
Right. I think I got boardwalk. Do y'all got a boardwalk out there?
Yeah,
something
we got
similar.
a Riverwalk.
It still got the 5 Great Lakes out there, and we are also a part of the 5 Great Lakes. But Cleveland is actually worse than Chicago.
Wow.
Cleveland is actually, for a while, it's been like top 10 worst cities to live in the country. It's horrible.
Yeah.
The principality that rests over Cleveland is super destructive. I mean, there's a page on Instagram called the Cleveland Remembrance page. I just ask you to just scroll down. It's literally something every day, at least 5 different things, 5 different killings in different parts of the city.
Still happening to this day.
Every day. I still follow them. I just scroll. Someone just got stabbed. 3 officers just got shot. I mean, literally, like it's not. Cleveland is not a good place at all.
Seeing that growing up, do you think that was that normal? I know you said that you don't really remember your father passing, but it was close to your birthday. Were you used to stuff like that happening? So even though it was your father, and I mean you were, hurt by that, did you just like accept it, like, okay, this is just something that happens, and it just so happened to happen to our family?
Due to us being on Section 8, we came from the project. That's what my mama home was. We lived in the projects. We experienced 63rd Street. We experienced the 71st, 103rd. We was all up and through Chicago. I lived in the worst places in Chicago, and I seen some stuff growing up with the people in Chicago, like the buildings. We lived in them high projects with the fence, and we had diapers, no shoes, running around. So we was literally ghetto together.
I was gonna say the same thing. Actually, a lot of my friends died. I mean, like majority of them actually.
That's actually the reason why we kind of moved out of the city of Chicago, because of gun violence and different things. Somebody got killed at our high school, Julian High School. The young guy got killed on a bus. My mom was like, "No, we cannot."
Wow.
Like, it was a lot. Chicago. Thank God I didn't have to raise mine.
Yeah. And we moved out of the.
How old were you when you moved from Chicago?
Oh, Fred was here, so I had to be 22.
Okay. And you came here?
Okay.
And you moved from Cleveland straight to here? Or did you?
Nah, I actually moved to about an hour away from Cleveland first, 3 years, and then I moved.
Okay.
But my family moved us up. We call it up the hill. Down the hill is where it's worse at. Up the hill is where it's better. My family moved us up the hill, and I think 2003, then around 2004, we actually settled in a place called Cleveland Heights. And it's kind of like mild. I mean, you got your middle class, high middle class, and then some wealthy people over there with older money. But yeah, my family moved us away from that too.
Yeah. Oh, so you moved with your family first? You didn't?
Yeah, well, because I was 2004. I was in 4th grade, but when I moved out in 2013. I mean, around that time they were still in Cleveland Heights already. But I didn't move to Texas until maybe 3.5 years ago. Yeah.
Okay, so recent.
Right.
Prophet Anthony, I feel like you kind of touched on this one already. Did you explain one of your angelic encounters? The encounter that you had with God that drew you to God was the encounter that when you heard his voice, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And so I know you said that you seen your mother, and so that was who you watched, and that's who you, when you really saw that the Lord was working on her to change her. What was outside of her being the example, did you have an experience with God, like whether it was grown or that you were just like, okay, this is it, I'm giving my life to Christ and I'm not looking back? Is there like a specific moment you had?
Yes. Moving out here, going to church, I'm realizing bloodline curses. I'm realizing all these things, and I see that the enemy was attacking my child in so many different ways. Being a single mom, me going through different relationships with men and being abused and attacked, and I'm looking at myself and I'm like, I'm in school, I'm working all these jobs, I know I'm so much better than this, but I feel like a weak woman. I'm getting beat up. I'm letting men live with me. I'm not being properly taken care of. And I'm just abusing myself. But then I look at my child and I'm like, if I don't figure this out, this boy, he's not going to make it. Like the things he was doing and the things that I was seeing, I'm like, I need help, God. And I remember having a situation with him and I was, going into education. And I was just like, if I don't get this child together, how am I going to teach anybody kids? How am I going to do anything? And mine's just destructive. He's just doing the most. And I remember calling my mom. That was just my everything. I just knew. I'm like, okay, God, speak. I always went to her when I felt like, I needed the Lord to speak to me for confirmation because she prayed for us and she kind of knew certain things. So I was like, I can't do this no more. Like being abused, being misused. I know I'm better than this. I know I'm a woman that has purpose or something. God has called me to something. I just didn't know what. Yeah. So she was like, talk to my pastor. And I'm like, I don't want to talk to nobody. I don't want to deal with no church folks. I ain't talking to nobody, pastor. Yeah. I want the reality. I want to encounter God. And I remember using that word. I was like, I want to encounter God. I want to see him. I remember going in the closet and I just cried. And I just got to shaking. I cried. When I tell you, I poured out my heart. I was like, God, And I was transparent. I was real. I said, you know me. You know what I need. You know my desires. I gave him everything. I was on that floor for like 2 hours crying. And I remember getting up and I felt lifted. I felt a weight off of me. And I remember she said, talk to my pastor. I talked to the man over the phone. And he said, God has lifted a weight off for you. You are free. And I'm like, God only knew that for me. Yes. Like those words was what I gave to God. So he said that I knew it was my time. Yeah. I knew God was calling me. And I told the Lord, I said, if you want to work with me, you're going to have to work fast. I'm like, because where I'm at, I can't do it on my own. I don't have the capacity. I don't have the strength. I don't have the endurance. You're going to have to do it now. And he just started working. It just started like that. And everything in my life, it has a time frame. And it's a prayer attached to it, and he works. And I'm like, that's how I knew I encountered God, because that moment when I spoke to him, he showed me himself, literally.
If you don't mind me asking, how old were you when you had your son?
I was 18. I got pregnant at 18, had him at 19.
And did you have him you had him in Chicago? So you moved here when he was like 3?
Yep, about Fred was 5.
Okay.
Yeah, he's about 5, yeah.
Okay. When you had that encounter, it was before you left Chicago, or it was after you moved here?
It was after I moved here. I was in Texas.
Okay.
Yeah. I was dealing with stuff. Yeah. I think I was just going to church and receiving, but I didn't encounter, and that's what I wanted. When I got here, that's when I encountered God in my closet on my face during that time. I knew, I'm like, okay, it's my time. And that was when my walk was for real.
Did you see, because at 5, I mean, they have personalities. I have a son myself. So how was his, because you said doing the most. So like, what did you see?
He was just defiant. He didn't want the certain men that was around me around. So you could tell he was just like, just not respecting me as a woman. So he was starting to get disrespectful towards me. He'll start saying certain things. Like he had a mouth. Like his mouth was just disrespectful. Yeah. And then his actions, like the certain things he'll do to teachers that say certain things. He's not listening. He's just using these type of languages and this type of words. He just said he didn't act on anything, but he was very defiant and rude. He was disrespectful. He had no care. He didn't care if I was the mom. He didn't have respect for people, and that's where it started from. And I'm like,
because you and I can totally relate to this, being a single parent myself. How do you have a strong co-parenting situation with your son's dad? Is there no longer any communication there? Does he want to be involved? If you don't mind sharing.
No, he is an absent dad. He not active in his life at all. He have not experienced that father figure that he need, or that father that he desires in his life. He wasn't present. He was just one of the dads that came around, his dad from the street. So he didn't care to have him. He knew he got a son. He'll call holidays, birthdays, vacation, check in on him. But it wasn't a desire to be in his life. So Fred was definitely missing that.
And do you feel like because with my son, I felt the same way. His acting out, it was just I had got to the point to where I cried calling my mom, and I was like, "Mama, I don't think I can do this anymore," because it was so bad, and I started to see that he was missing that piece. And so I was like, well, when I tell you, I called her. I don't even remember what all I said, but I was just like, I can't handle him. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I didn't have my son until I was 21. So I got pregnant at 20. I had him at 21. And so, although it wasn't a teen pregnancy, still felt like it because I was still so young. I didn't know anything. I was very sheltered growing up. And when you start seeing that in your child, it's like, God, what do I do? That's true. I don't want to like rush into a marriage. I don't want to I don't want to put the wrong example in front of him. So at that moment, being 5 years old, was that the main thing that was kind of in your heart for your child too? Or trying to like break through for the both of you guys?
I had passion for kids. I knew my desires was to look at kids and make sure that they were well taken care of mentally, because I knew what I had to go through with the different things people did to me growing up. So I wanted my kid not to experience molestation or somebody touching him or him touching somebody else or anything. I just wanted that. And I'm like, if I don't pay attention to what's in front of me, this boy is not going to be good. You know, if we don't pay attention to our kids, and that's all I wanted to do was pay attention to him. But my eyes wasn't good enough. So I had to provoke God and ask him. I pray for a husband. I prayed for different things to help me out with that child. But that was my start. That's what woke me up, because God knew I loved kids. God knew I studied the mind of kids. And I'm like, why man is crazy? Like, why man ain't acting right? I need help. Like, I'm not doing this thing right. And so, I had to, change some things.
That age, they can't really express themselves, of course, like adults can. So even then, and your son is how old now? 15? 16. Just remembering like what he felt at that age. Because my son's father is not very involved in his life either. So I can definitely relate to that, as well as a lot of people that may even watch this. It's not something that you've hoped that you will be a part of. That's not something that I've seen myself doing. It was just, I was so sheltered that when I got out in the world, I was like, woo, like I'm out here. And it was just like, okay, well, mama was keeping me from having fun. And that's just how it happened. But after seeing that in my son, and I was just like, Lord Jesus, like you're going to have to do
that's
something.
That's what it is.
Like, so I can totally relate to that. So you just answered that question about praying for God for a husband. Prophet Anthony, did you know you wanted to be married, or was marriage a desire to you? Because some people don't want to be.
No, it was actually too much of a desire.
It was
too much, too many times. I just say that. Let's leave that right there.
And this was both of you guys' first marriage? No? Okay. You were married before?
Sort of. Not like this. It wasn't like this. It wasn't like house together, sin and state. It wasn't like that. No. But I would say this is my first like real marriage. Does that make any sense? But as far as desiring marriage, I desired to be married. I did. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, I want to do this thing right. You know what I mean? Because I ain't see it done right. You know?
Yeah.
So I wanted to see. All I seen was, a lot of toxic stuff. So I'm like, I want to do it right. Help me to do it right. So yeah.
You have a child too. How old were you when you had your
Same age, 19.
Same age. A boy.
Boy.
Okay. How is the co-parenting situation with you guys? Is that different than her experience?
Yeah, it is different. Because of course he lives with his mom, and I'm a very active father. But co-parent is not easy. Because we have two different beliefs. Again, it's like night and day. I would say it's definitely like night and day. Yeah, it's challenging. I don't even know if I can put it into words. It's not easy. It's not easy, especially when we don't have like court documents say this, that. You know what I mean? And then, you know how life happens. So even if a father, like, because we're building right now, even if a father financially can't be as present as he needs to be at the time, for a woman, I do believe like that calling and checking in, that praying with your child, that checking in on, because I still check in on my son's grandmother on his mom's side, the brothers, you know what I mean, the sister, their kids, you know, like, I mean, when I say I'm very present, I'm very present. And all the time, I mean, for the last couple years, like maybe 5 years, financially, I'm like, has been a battle. You know what I mean? But his first few years, like I was always there. I'm still there, but I'm not there physically. But I was always there. Doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, whatever, school, all that. I mean, I show up. I show up even for my kids that are not mine. You know, my siblings' kids. I show up. I'm like a second dad to them. You know what I mean? But again, sometimes if you can't see eye to eye, I just continue to put it in prayer. You know, keep it in prayer and listen to God, not reacting. You know, to his mom when I can't. You know what I mean? Well, I can't, but when I could, you know what I mean? I could make a decision and react. But instead, I'm just going to respond how God is instructing me to, and I know this won't be like this always. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And I haven't had to experience that, but I've heard people that do co-parent say that it's not easy. And sometimes it's hard for me to wrap my mind around that because it's like, you have somebody that wants to be involved. How is it more difficult? Now I understand, but back then I'm like, I can't wrap my mind around it. You got somebody that's trying to help and you're making the situation worse for the other person to be able, not saying that's your situation. But
no, that's my situation.
Like, yeah, I could not wrap my mind around that. Because I'm just like, if you both, some of it, and I'll just say this because I'm very blunt and honest. I believe that most of it comes from that person losing somebody that they actually wanted to keep. And by losing that person that they wanted to keep, they then take out that energy on the child. Oh, well, you don't want me, then I don't want to be involved as far as like absence parents. And then the co-parents is like, okay, well, I see you're doing this. I see you're happy. I see you're doing this. I'm just going to make it more difficult for you to see your child, or I'm going to, these rules, it's a spirit, number one. But if you're not thinking about it spiritually, it's literally just like they want to make your life miserable because they're miserable. Misery likes company. Like, so the spirits that are entertaining them, they can't help but be an instrument to that spirit. And that's the only reason now that I could completely wrap my mind around it. Because when I see people that are really, really co-parenting, like they really co-parent, it's like hand clap to them because that does not happen all the time. That does not happen all the time. I want to ask this because it just dropped in my spirit for this. When you have a child with someone you're called to versus having a child outside of the will of God. God will still bless it. Children are blessings. Sure. Not saying that they're not. I want to say it how I feel it.
Say it how you feel it.
We love our children, but there's something about
a promised child. It's a promised child. It's called a promised child.
Yes.
Wisdom is our promised child.
Yes.
And we understand.
Yes. And it's because I don't want people to take it like, oh, well, you don't love your kids. I'm not saying that. It's just, it's a different type of humbleness and love that you totally like you. And I haven't experienced that yet, but just thinking about it and where I was in the mentality that I was, it's like, it will be such a relief to know that you're not going anywhere, that we're in this together, that you're here for me, that you're not going to abandon me. Like just that feeling. So I'm speaking too much, but how was that experience for you guys? If you can put it into words.
Yeah, it is hard because like you said, you do love your children. Yeah. Like my son is named after me. He's actually the third. Okay. I'm named after my father. He's named after me. And then you got Fred too. Like we love our kids are everything. And when wisdom came, it was like something different happened. Like, what is so different about this one? And then I was talking to, I don't know if I was talking to a prophet or a pastor, but it was like, I think it was pastor. He said, that's what he said. That's your promise. And I was like, that's true. He is. Not saying that Anthony's not anointed. Not saying that Fred is not anointed. We see the anointing of God on them so strong. But the ones that are had inside of the covenant, there is a different mandate over their lives.
Yes.
And there's also a different type of protection over them too. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, with Fred and Anthony, they're, like you said, they're outside of the will, so you have to do a little bit more fighting to cover them. But wisdom is cover. All the other kids that come, they're within the covering. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So it's like we're pulling them in. We got to continue to fight against these altars crazy because, you know, again, something's different, and mom is doing something different. Dad is doing something different.
Yeah.
So not only are we praying for them, we have to pray against the altars that may have been built. You know what I mean? So that's probably the easiest way to explain. Because
the other side of the family, if they're not in Christ, you know that they're still a part of the bloodline of a bloodline that you are not attached to. So although you're fighting and you broke the generational curses for your bloodline, there's still other blood flowing through.
Correct. So it's a little bit more fighting that they have to do.
Yeah. So that, my God.
Decisions we make. Decisions we make.
Okay, so when did you two meet? And how did you meet?
September 7th, 2021.
2021. Okay.
September 7th, 2021.
Look at you on that date. Where did y'all meet? How did you meet?
Wow. The same apostle that I was talking about that I called, and he gave me that word to come to church. That's the small church that we went to and that I began to kind of serve and be active in a part of.
Okay.
And that's where we met. I was there first, and then he ended up joining.
So, short story, in Ohio, I was preparing to move. A lot of people were not agreeing to my move. You know, I just got that marriage or bad relationship, whatever. Everybody's like, do not move down there. Do not move down there. I was like, look, I gotta go. You told me to go. I know they don't agree, but I'm gonna go. But I don't know what church I'm gonna go to. That was the biggest issue with the church. And, I had my former spiritual mom was like, Ma, I don't know what church to go to. She's like, why don't you go to, that man, Apostle Enoch's church? He was a blessing up here because he preached at the church that I went to in Cleveland. Okay. And I was like, I wasn't there. I was working to make money so I can pay for my apartment here in Texas. Yeah. So I'm like, okay. I mean, everybody's saying all of these great things about all these miracles happen. The prophetic went forth. The Spirit of God was there. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go check his church out. Why did the same day, that's how I know the date. The same day I checked the church out, it was September 7th. Her mom was actually being ordained as an elder in the church. Wow. So that's how I remember. That's the same day. Operating the little iPad. For the TV, because it was like two TVs up front for them, the praise and worship team, to sing, and it one in the back. And I'm like, okay. And then I see her, and then we locked eyes. I'm like, wow, her eyes are so beautiful. But I wasn't looking for a relationship or anything. I was just like, wow. Yeah, that was it.
That's what I was about to say. I was like, okay, was it love at first sight? Did y'all become friends? And then how did that?
Stalk me.
Now.
I'm telling you. Okay, so I was in and out. You hear me? So I was serving as a prophet in the ministry, serving as the praise and worship leader, and then it was just a lot of praying. You know what I mean? So we had to carry the ministry. And when I came, she was actually in a relationship already. So I mean, again, that's not what I'm looking at. But then they started to separate. Yeah. I was going through a lot at that time. It was war coming here. The fact that God opened this territory up for me, the enemy didn't like it. So I would have to go back home to Cleveland, go back to Cleveland. I mean, and stay for weeks at a time. So how do you live here and stay for weeks at a time? Miss Helena here, she will always be like, okay, let me know if you need anything. Call me. Call you. You know what I mean? And then there was the time that I came back, and then this time I was gone for a while. Didn't you? You can't say you didn't.
Yeah, but
I was gone. I was gone a lot. I was gone a lot. For me to live here, I was gone a lot. And there was one specific time where my mom was about to die. And I had to stay in Cleveland a while because she had to get a blood transfusion. I had to make sure everything was okay. And I came back finally. And then Miss Helena here was she seen me walk through the door of the church, and she just gave me this big, long hug. I was like, and then it was let me know if you need anything. I was like, okay, no one ever told me that. Let me know if you need anything. Usually, I'm the one giving. So for somebody to say, let me know if you need anything, I was like, wow, that actually meant something.
Now you got to tell your side of the story.
Help the church. So God
is all the time.
So back to that mom being ordained thing like that. But wasn't looking. Mind you, I'm in a toxic relationship. I'm praying and asking God to come out. While I was in that closet, I prayed for everything. Remember, I was telling you how he was going to work rapidly in my life, and I didn't know how he was going to do it.
Yeah.
Wasn't looking, still being myself happily, and I'm coming out of that shell of rejection or fear or not talking, but they got me serving in the church.
Yeah.
And I just felt like I belonged for the first time in my life. So I was open to speaking to people and different things like that. And when I first met him, it was just something different about him. Like it was something that I never seen in a man or never even experienced. With that, he just spiritually, we used to come to church, we used to do Bible study in the morning. And I didn't know that much about the Bible as far as quoting scriptures and studying and different things like that. And as he spoke, it was just like, he was just so wise when it came down to the word and just knowing God. And I remember praying and asking God for a man of God. Yeah. And I'm like, maybe this can be my husband in my mind, but I'm like, I ain't right. I'll run ropes around this child. He ain't ready for me. So in my mind, I really thought I wasn't qualified for a man like him because he came through and he was different than what I was used to. I'm used to something that it wasn't right and he wasn't it. So I'm like, God, you ain't blessing me like that. I ain't even about to go that route. He made me comfortable enough to joke with him. Yeah. And I knew when he wasn't around, something was missing. And I'm like, when he did leave, I realized it. And I'm like, wow, where you been? How you doing? Different things like that. So it was just all friendly. I wasn't looking, but I was like desiring. At that moment, I didn't know. I didn't say that was my husband. I was just like, he's a really nice man. That's all I thought in that moment because I still knew I was going through my process and I was not ready.
You were intrigued.
I really was. My eyes was open like, wow, it's light out here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She had to clear that up. That's when she's
you didn't stop me, man. You waiting on me to get out the car.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm gonna move to the next segment. And this is where the marriage questions are gonna come in that I feel that will strongly bless you guys. So the segment is called the Living Water segment. This segment is based on John 4:14, where it says that the Holy Spirit is the living water. So the Holy Spirit now living in you and taking you through your process and being with you. I want to ask some questions now in marriage. You guys have been married how long? 3 years? Okay. Still newlywed. Yeah. So I want to start with a question for Helena. How did you know that you were fully submitted to your husband? When did you know?
Fully submitted in this marriage. We then went through the process of marriage and everything.
Compared to what you were used to. Mm-hmm. So, because you were talking about the process of you felt intrigued, like, what is this? Mm-hmm. Kind of like, I don't deserve this, but I'm interested. But now that you're on the other side, it's like, okay, now I gotta change the way I was previously in relationships. Yeah.
My husband really watered me. He really developed me. He really taught me different things on how to become a woman of honor, a woman of just submission. So he took time after we got married to pour into me because you got to realize I just left a relationship when I hopped into a marriage. So the day he proposed to me, a guy was leaving out of my house. So he had to really develop me. He had to really make sure that I was who God was calling me to be. So I'll say him pouring into me and helping me, studying with me, reading with me, creating a safe space for me, really did it for me. He really, really acknowledged and really, due to him being a prophet, he saw a lot of things that I didn't see. So of course, when you don't have those eyes, you tend to be disobedient and not see. But one day God told me to be quiet, be still, and allow your husband to water you. And going through church and praying, he allowed God was teaching me how to pray, how to study, and different things like that. It helped with my obedience and me becoming a wife. So I had to really submit and really honor my husband and his calling, because he was already called. He was already ordained. He was already in position. So I had to get equipped. And I just thank God for his life, because he was able to water me and plant, certain seeds for me to be birthed the way I am now today. So, yeah, it was due to me just saying yes and closing my mouth and just trusting about that. Anyway.
And that, because just on the woman's side, being a single mother, absent father, it's like we get this INDEPENDENT attitude, and it shows more than we think. Although you guys felt, I'm assuming you guys both felt called to each other at that moment. I'm sure you first, being the man, but just being called to something and having to not only submit to God, but having to take that out of your heart of like, I got to do it myself. I got to get it myself. I don't have nobody to depend on, to actually having someone to lean on. I know we lean on Jesus. I promise I get it, but it's different in a marriage. Like this is something that is covenant. This is something that is kingdom. So it's like, okay, God, like, you're going to seriously have to help me, because you said that he was leaving like the day that he, other guy, the day that he proposed. So it's just kind of like, God, it's going to have to be
and then I knew it was instantaneous, because we got married within 30 days. Like our first day, he proposed. So everything happened quick. But I remember asking God that, and I remember, God telling me, you have to be prepared, because what I'm going to have to do for you and through you, you're going to have to go. You're going to have to, it's people that you're going to have to let go. It's some things that you're going to have to deny yourself to. And that's just what it is. So, and I was so faithful to the things of this world. I was so faithful to the men that treated me wrong. I was so faithful to all these different things. And I'm like, well, I can't do it the right way. I did it the wrong way before. I'm ready to trust the right process and see where it gets me. And I was always a person where I was committed to doing wrong, but never committed to doing right. So that's when I realized, like, okay, if I was committed to be doing the wrong things, I know I could be committed to doing something right. Even if it's uncomfortable and don't feel good, I done been through that before. I felt that, at least I thought I did. But I'm like, I can do it the right way, and still, I felt like I was going to be fine.
Yeah, in that case, it's like you're uncomfortable, but it's where you're supposed to be anyway. It's the proper order. Breaking that, because I hear women say they're like, well, I don't know, I don't trust him. And I'm like, well, if you're with him, why are you with someone that you don't trust? So that helps me to just think, just preparing myself to be a wife. The man that findeth the wife findeth the good thing. So he's seen the wife in you before you've seen the wife in yourself.
And that's what prepared me. I'm like, what do you see in me? He was able to speak those dry bones to life. He was able to speak those things. And I'm like, wow. And then I saw his prayer life. I saw his commitment. I saw his servanthood. And I saw different things. And I'm like, I want that, God. I wanted something that my husband had. And I'm like, due to him bringing us together, I know we can do that, and we can do it together. It just made me feel even more blessed.
Amen. So, Prophet Anthony, how did you know that she was the one? How did you know that God was like, okay, it's time? Because it didn't seem like that y'all didn't really talk for long. So you was ready. So how did you know that this was the one?
It was interesting because remember I told you that September 7th, when I seen her, my eyes were open and then they closed. From that time to, I think it was a little bit after Christmas. I think it was 3 days after Christmas, the 28th of December of 2021. We were in a revival and we're fasting. And I was the praise and worship leader at the time. At this time, we were spending a lot of time together too, at the church, because we're at church all the time. I think it was the 31st night. The 31st night. It was the last day of the fast, and it was crossing over to 2022. We were singing, and we were next to each other singing. Now, we've sang together a lot at this point. I sang with them all the time. You know what I mean? But it was this specific time where I think we were singing. It's almost time to cross, and we looked at each other. My eyes opened again, but it was different this time. It was like, you know, yeah, we were talking before, but it was like different. That my eyes like actually open. It was like that's her. Oh, okay. And then of course I had prophetic brothers, right? My spiritual brothers they were in Ghana at the time, but there was a prophetic word that I was going to get married. God also told me that I was going to get married. I was like, okay. And I was like, okay, so that's who I'm going to get married to. And then the apostle was like, Miss Helena is your wife. I was like, I knew that already. That's interesting. You know what I mean? Like this was a lot of confirmation, and then they would tell her too. Because at first they wouldn't. They just said that you're about to get married. You're about to get married. They like, you know, people don't set up arranged marriages.
Yeah.
But they were like, I see her in a wedding dress. Somebody said that, the lady at the house. And then her mom was like, I hear wedding bells. And I was like, oh shoot, this is right. You know, it was just too much confirmation. I was like, okay, this is actually my wife. You know what I mean? So that's when I knew. But it was the 31st night. That 31st night, crossing over to the 1st of 2022 is when I actually knew. I think we both knew.
Any dreams? Either one of you?
Mm-hmm.
Well, with me, I knew what the Lord was preparing me for, because on that day, being a guy, of course, we battled a whole lot with him leaving my house. And I prayed. We was in a fast, and I was praying to asking God again. I said, I don't know how I'm going to get this man in my house, and I'm done. I went home that night. He was in my bed, and I looked at him. He got up, and I said, you have to leave, just like that. I know we about to be tussling, fighting. I'm like, it's about to go down. Jesus, help me.
Yeah.
And he looked at me. He said, give me 2 weeks. January 15th, I'll be out of here. He didn't know nothing about this. He didn't know nothing about this guy. I'm not talking to him about the guy. He don't know the guys in my apartment. He don't know nothing. At this point, I'm just trying to heal by myself and let God work in me. I'm not telling nobody what I got going on at home. Nobody knew.
Well, no, I knew, but I just didn't know the severity. Because we were growing. We were like starting the court, because it's like we had it was like, I don't know what it was. It was like a mutual understanding that we knew that we were about to get married, but it wasn't like we didn't like speak it out. You know what I mean? And I knew he was there because my wife was desiring marriage, right? She wanted to take him to get counseling, but he wasn't even saved. So it's just like there was a lot of frustration there. And then after they actually like separated, you know what I mean? He was still living there, but we grew in our friendship because we were planning somebody else's wedding. Me and my wife were planning somebody else's wedding, like together at the time. Like somebody in the church was getting married, and me and my wife was like planning out every detail of their wedding together, and that's what made us also closer. So not only did we have the church, the leadership stuff, we were also planning out a wedding together.
That's interesting. Yeah, y'all situation is different.
At the time frame, we was felt out we had so much in common. Like even with us doing events together.
Yeah.
Owning childcare center. I got a degree in early childcare development, and I've been running daycare centers forever.
And I have too.
I've been running daycare centers.
Right. Yeah.
We just
even where we worked. Because I was in and out of town for work too. I worked in Texas, but I was an enrollment counselor over like 26 different facilities, and these were like nursing facilities with independent living. She was active the same, like not at the same place, but it was in the same field. You know what I mean? It was just interesting.
And we realized those times we had so much.
It's dying around the same. You know what I mean? Well, they're not the same time, but birthdays the same. And then remember, of course, being from Cleveland and Chicago is rough. Well, her best friend got killed by gun violence, and mine did too. So it's just like a lot of similarities. You know, we both had a kid at 19. It was just a lot of similarity. We understood where we came from.
And you have to, with that too, like you have to make sure that even with that, because with that also, it can be trauma bonding. Like in other cases, like I know you had all the confirmations and all of that and on top of the similarities.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you're just basing it off of, he liked this and he did this and we got this.
Yeah, no, that's detriment.
Up.
Yeah.
And your demons are talking to
you. Yeah, no, we came from a healed place. I mean, there was still healing that needed to take place in other areas. With the trauma, like you said, trauma bonding, it was like those things that we had in like-minded or like in similarity. we had already grew from a lot of that stuff. So it was like, there have been, situations where like there was, a young lady that, I fornicated with before because of a pain. You know what I mean? Like we suffered a same death. So it's like, oh, we were together all the time and boom, anything happened. Wow, that would be considered that same scenario. But when you, like you said, when you actually come from a different place where the confirmation is there and it's not like your demons are pacifying one another, where it's like you can see the hand of God there.
There was certain things that I remember men to do that he never did. Undress me with his eyes, or even when he proposed to me, he told me, I'm excited. He's like, oh, I can't kiss you. You're not my wife. And I'm like, you can't do what? And, me realizing, okay, you can't do the doing, so you get married. So just the teaching, just behind all that, I'm like, wow. Like, I never did.
I was trying to stay whole.
Yeah. It's like even, grabbing my hand or touching me, it's like, you're not my wife. It's like,
I did grab your hand.
So like certain gestures, I'm like, he just was like,
yeah, because it provokes the wrong scenario. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, if I know not to do this because it can lead to this, and then I see where this happened, I'm like, no, I just cut it right there.
So that right there was a big deal for me, especially me. I'm like, I ain't no better.
But no, that because literally until you're married, you are still sisters and brothers in Christ.
That's true.
Like literally, as much as you would like to, it's just like, okay, God, I do want this to go differently. I do want to do this the right way.
Yep.
But yeah, I wanted to add that trauma bonding piece just because, some people watching this don't think that just because y'all got similar things going on or you done been through some of the similar, you better get on your knees and go to God to make sure he's confirming that. So that you can do your healing and all of that kind of stuff before he brings y'all together, if that is a thing.
That's true.
But in the world, if you both in the world, more than likely, that's not God. That's something else.
Yeah.
That's something else.
That's true.
All right. Okay. So I wanted to ask this too. So you said that he wasn't, his personality and stuff, like the things he was doing was not something that you were used to. As far as like physical attraction, was this like your type of person before Christ? Is this somebody that you would have dated? Because I know that physical attraction is not the be all say all. But I've heard a lot of stories from people like, oh, he wasn't my type, but I know that the Lord called me to him. Not saying that they're not attractive or anything. It's just when I was in the world, these aren't the type of people that I chose.
Right.
Was that with you guys, or were you both kind of, holy, but
I think with me, I didn't think I qualified for a type of where he was at. I felt like I wasn't ready. It wasn't right because of the men I chose.
Yeah.
And I just thought he wouldn't have chosen a woman like me. Like I wasn't that match, as you say, because just like he there. I'm not there. I'm not the first lady type of girl. I'm just me. I don't know nothing else. So but what I was used to was the drug dealers, the ones that went to prison, the ones that didn't have a life, the ones that was, broken and miserable. So I didn't think I deserved it. But as time went by, when he was encouraging and developing my thoughts, I'm like, wow, I do deserve it. So I had to change my mindset. But it was all me and my insecurities thinking that I didn't qualify for a man like him. Yeah.
What did you think?
I would say the same thing, because if you look at it like this, I looked at my mom being very strong. Now, she was a single parent for I don't know how many years, but before her and my stepfather got married. But I was like, I watched how my wife now, literally, the independent part is not a bad thing if you're by yourself. You understand?
Yeah.
So I see like, wow, she got through all of these things. And Fred is now 12, because that's when we met. He was 12, like 11, 12. And I was like, that's attractive. You know what I mean? And before, I did date women with kids, but at the same time, come around, this time was different, because I'm like, I saw her strength. You know what I mean? I saw like what she didn't see inside of her. Like you explained, I literally seen it like firsthand. you know, regardless of whatever situation was going on, I just like literally seen her. I was like, wow, this is new, you know, because a lot of women that I did, some were older, but maybe immature.
Yeah.
Didn't have a head on right. You know, they didn't want to go get it. You know what I mean? Like they just kind of like waited for whatever to come, or waited on their man to do it, or waited. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of different things that I saw, or that their mindset wasn't right. But I seen that she was going after this mindset of, I'm gonna submit myself to God first before any man. I'm gonna submit myself to God before any child allowed me to go crazy, or my parents or my mother allowed me to go crazy, or my family, whatever, or this job. I'm gonna submit myself to God first. And I saw that firsthand. So again, like, she's a real woman. You know what I mean? That was just what I saw. So what I mean, was I physically yes, but at the same time, I was like, okay, where would this go if this was a thing? You know, this is before all of the confirmations early in. Like, where would that go? You know what I mean? But now that I see, like, just being obedient to the voice of God and trusting Him, because that's big. Because moving to a whole new place, you know, like, I'm super new, still new to Texas, and then I came alone, literally me and my dog. That was it. You know, I moved my whole life because I'm trusting God. You know what I mean? And then having so many horrible relationships, and then also having my own insecurities and places inside of me, my soul, that's sick, and still healing also, you know, still needing deliverance in a lot of areas. So I'm like, okay, you know, is it time? You know, like, I need help. Well, your helpmate, and then, or your husband, you know, for the ladies, if you are coming together and you're submitted to God and it's the right timing, the person that you marry is also going to literally iron out those things, because they literally are a mirror. Just as the word is a mirror to us, your spouse is a mirror, and they show you. You know what I mean? Ain't no hiding from you. Literally, it's so you can't. They know your patterns. They know how you are. And when they identify that there's something wrong, you know, they may not just be like, okay, I see you doing this. I see you doing that. Why are you doing it? And more so like, God, I identified this. I see that. I'm going to put this in your hands. I'm going to put this in your hands. Like this, it may piss me off. It may make me want to do this, but it's like, you know, God, I'm going to completely trust you, because this is the enemy attacking my life. Or even with our, you know, like, you know, families, you know, everything, you got to keep your, like this, you know what I mean? Like this, that's your marriage. And, I knew that this was going to be like that. Like, I knew that we were on, one accord with that. Yeah.
And for Helena, I think it's also different now that you're being chosen by a man.
Yes.
Because being that single mama and you out in the world, you like, oh well, no, I'm choosing who I want. And it's like you switch roles with, you're already out of order. You're in the world, but you're already out of order, because God didn't call us to go find one.
Right. Yeah.
So that's how we end up entertaining the wrong person that further hurts us, or further does certain things to us that makes us feel unworthy, like that we're not good enough. And that's I like that you said that too, because some women just think they're just gonna see a man, and then the man's gonna see them, they're gonna be like, oh my God, that's my wife, that's my husband. And it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. It's not a movie. It is seriously a process. Okay, I want to ask this one. So how did you keep the faith? Like, so you guys have been married for 3 years, and I'm sure you've went through trials, different things in your marriage. How did you keep the faith and growing each other and trusting in each other, and just the things that you've endured just from the time that you've been married right now? Like, what is something that you have taught each other in the process? Because I know that you said that, you know, he taught you to be more like, to kind of let that go, that independency out of you. Is there anything else that, like he just said, like the mirror, and you can't run from it? Like, what is something that you caught and that you've worked on since you got married?
It's so interesting, because when you are seeing somebody every single day, you're going to see their defaults, their method of operation. And a lot of times you're going to see my wife, you're going to see like what you don't want to see. Right. And then you have to like explain with grace and with truth, right, that you need to fix this. My wife would say is, this is in the raw. You know, I'm gonna give it to you in the raw. You ain't gonna want to hear it, but it's God speaking through your spouse, telling you what needs to be fixed. You know, in order for you to continue to walk the tight and narrow path. Does it make sense? So, I mean, us basically speaking in the raw, right? Of course, there have been times where, like our testimony, we argued a lot because we were still getting to know each other, right? We had no chance to really know even, I don't care how many hours we spent. It was just still too early. So there was a lot of things that we had to grow within our marriage the first year and a half, 2 years. So we're now enjoying the fruit of, you know, because we got the ministry October, August. No, I'm saying when we came to GRU in August. So it's like we had to learn literally to look at one another, have forgiveness for one, right? Not expose what the person is going through, right? To the world, you know, or to your family, to your friends or whatever, or what y'all are going through. We had to learn that there was something else that I was thinking, and it's like literally keep escaping my mind. And it's super, super, super important. Oh, not to throw away the person who's going through the process. It's like you're being refined. No, you do have a choice. Like, I mean, like this day and age, if you want to get a divorce for anything, you can. You really can. But when it comes to like allowing the process to shape the person that you love, even if it's like in a place of you're saying something that's not nice. You know what I mean? You're kind of hurting me. You know, okay, you're doing things that are not nice. You're not treating me right. Like this is not right. You gotta. Well, what if that person is going through a process? What if that person is being processed? You know, I mean, I know. I mean, my dad, my mom weren't meant to be together, but my dad, my mom went through a lot together, and I loved how my mom, you know, just being transparent. You know, my dad was doing a whole lot, right? And then she was like, my main problem wasn't the women that he was that was trying to either seduce him or that he was trying to be with. And my main problem was the drug. And I was like, that's interesting. And I could see, you know, because my dad almost killed my mom, right? And looking at my mom, even after their divorce, and my mom moving on to a great man, you know what I mean? My stepfather, she never belittled my father. You can, I mean, my wife, she never belittled my father. Never told us what he was going through. Never like, oh my, I never knew this stuff until I, you know, found it. I see that a lot in my wife. We both are in a place where we're not throwing the other person away because you're in your process. So that's for me.
Totally agree with what my husband was saying. With me personally, I had he helped out a lot, especially with my attitude, my different fears that I was dealing with, because I had to realize I didn't have faith, you know, because it's like we got married, now we got to move, now we got to do all this. Everything happened so fast. And in my thing, I want to be on the honeymoon. I want to enjoy life. I want to spend some money. I want to do it. I have this malady, like I want to do all these things. But God told me it's time for us to work. And if we don't do this thing together, we couldn't be separated. Nothing we did separate work as far as jobs. Now all of a sudden I'm uncomfortable in my job. I'm uncomfortable with different things. And I'm like, well, I can't do nothing outside of a plan. Like when we came together and made plans, and I love him because he wouldn't let me stay mad. Like if I had an uncomfortable situation where work wasn't working or I didn't understand something, he'll bring me to work. And I'm like, let me be in my flesh. And he never. I'm like, yes. And I'm like, he made everything a teachable moment. Like you could not in that household be mad. You couldn't go to sleep mad. And I love that about him. Like, and I was a mess. Like, I'm like, I don't know how he dealing with me.
We both.
Certain things I didn't understand. I'm like, I just want to lay with you and don't go to church or don't serve and be up all night praying. We got back to it, and God was like, that was my plan for y'all. Y'all thought y'all was just gonna break, and that was frustrating me the most because I'm like, I'm ready to live now. I thought I was gonna live, but it was like, no, I'm about to break you, little girl. And he broke me. Oh, both of us together.
We had invited people to, you know what I mean? Imagine this early.
Yeah.
Because God was telling us to do these things.
We had to serve. We had to get back to serving. Like right after we got married, we had to wake up and go in ministry the next day.
Wow.
Like, we went home and slept in different beds. I was more so frustrated about what I thought it was going to be and what God was telling me it was going to be. So I had to go back, and I'm like, wow. But yeah, I thank God that He did not let me stay mad, and He helped me out a lot. Yeah.
Like being married, like when it comes to marriage, right? In a world when you can just fornicate with whoever you want, as much as you want, whatever the situation is, and we became married, it seemed like, you know, that intercourse became an issue. And I was like, why are we fighting? It was like how, you know, it was so interesting. We taught each other, like, you have to, like, one, accommodate one another. Right? I don't know why I'm going this way, but I think it's important because you have to accommodate one another. I'm like, we're not like how we were in the world. You don't just go. I said, no, this is a worship unto God. And we have to remember to, like, you know, have conversations. We got to remember to, you know, I had to think like my wife like talking, or she like quality time or touch, you know what I mean? And there are times where I'm like, you know, we have to accommodate one another. You can't do marriage how you did your boyfriend, girlfriend. That's what you did. Marriage is not the same. Covenant is not the same. There's a different language in marriage than it is in the world. So I remember we having to, you know, get a grip on that, get a grip on our time, you know, being away from each other, still having to communicate, you know, make sure we're still in a communication. You know what I mean? There were times where we would be away from each other working, and then both of us is frustrated. You know what I mean? And it's like, you know, dang, you know, we didn't even send encouraging messages to one another. You know what I mean? We didn't even say, hey, I love you, because you gonna get that, but it's like, hey, how's your day going? You know, or maybe debrief at night. You know what I mean? So it's more than just the intimacy. Like, intimacy is more than just the intercourse part that people like love to, I better than married than the burnt. No. You need to have a true intimacy. Knowing is more than that. I mean, that's like, knowing is like, I know when, like, if she's bothered right now. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm saying something that's bothering her, I would know. I don't even gotta look at her. I could just feel the presence. You know what I mean? I can feel her spirit. So that's intimacy. You know what I mean? So
He made it so comfortable to communicate. Like, you know how you be scared to communicate with your spouse about what's going on in your head? You literally ask questions like, how are you doing? Are you okay? How's your mental state? How you feeling? Like, and that did something to me, because nobody really cared about how I was doing. Especially in relationships, it's like people think about themselves. Like, he created a safe place for me to even pour out my feelings. That was good.
You say that a lot too. Like, nobody care about me. Well, that's true, because people probably haven't. You know what I mean? So like, when you do like have to alter, you know, because there's, you know, I'm real big on the psyche, right? So I like study the human mind. And there's, you know, a couple different compartments. You got the subconscious, the unconscious, the conscious mind. Well, if the unconscious mind had determined that because of the people in the past and because of the things that happened in the past that nobody cared about, they showed that. Well, guess what? That's what the conscious mind is going to be aware of, and that's what then you have the method of operation that your body starts to do things based off of the actions of the unconscious mind. So it's like there's a lot of different things, but when you go, again, this is a big word, but the neurons, the neuroplasticity in our brain, that's your neurons creating a new pathway. That means there's something new, a new thought, a new programming, and you have to destroy. It's like a little road, right? It's a new road. You have to create a new road. That way this old road is now being destroyed, because the neuron, I don't want it to go this way, talking about nobody care about me or nobody thinking about me, no one care about how I feel. But I want to go to the new road that says, you know what, they do care about how I feel. They may not understand, but they do care. So my husband may not understand how I feel because he's giving me these explanations, and he's not understanding. But I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt that you're gonna listen and maybe empathize with what I'm trying to say. So that's learning each other, that we had to learn that.
And being open, being just as a woman too, well, even as a man, just being vulnerable. And just actually saying it, because you know how somebody can ask you, are you okay? You'd be like, yeah, I'm fine. And you know you're not fine. You know, like, you know, it's something in your mind that you want to get off, but you're just like, at that, like, you know what? Now it's like, okay, God, should I address this now? Like, I want to do it the right way. Is this the right moment to do this?
Yes.
We definitely want to do it before we go to sleep or anything,
Yeah.
if there's any tension, but like there's a right time and a right place to do it. And if it's something that's like, God's like, okay, no, y'all need to talk about it now. Because, you know, you don't know when you're going to take your last breath, and you don't want, you know, nothing to go wrong with that. But just some things, you're not mad. You're just, okay, well, let's correct this when we get home. Let's have a conversation when we get home. And then you were mentioning the intimacy part, because people do think that intercourse is the intimacy piece, and it's not. And I seen this video where this man was just saying that a lot of people, like in marriages, he was like, I was talking to a couple that's been married, I forgot, I know it was like over 15, 20 years, and they've never prayed together. And he was like, praying together is more intimate than intercourse.
Yeah, it is.
Because it's like, man, and we go to a praying church now, so I mean, like that's like innate, like in us to do. But it's just kind of like you thinking about that, like, wow, because praying, like even praying in public, I had to get used to doing this, even coming to this ministry, because I'm like, Lord, like I pray, but like praying beside somebody, like I don't want them in my business. I don't know what they're gonna hear me say, and it's kind of like the same thing. It's like, okay, and now I'm praying with my spouse. It's just like, okay, God, I want to go deep, but like, because you're exposing yourself, the two become one flesh, and it's literally something like you were saying, like you're retraining your mind, because in the world you're just like, I ain't doing it. I'm not saying it, but now you don't have a choice. So the last thing that I want to mention, you guys had already mentioned it before, that you guys were in the same work field. How did your daycare come about? How did you guys want to own your own daycare? Was this a goal that you guys set, or how was this revealed to you to do?
Yeah, because you started off with what we were talking about in the beginning.
That's so funny because, okay, when we were courting, you know, during that time, this is before we proposed. I proposed it. We had a lunch date at the mall, by our mall. It's like Frisco, and we were eating, and I was like, you know, well, you know, if we were to, you know, start a business, like, what would we do? My wife, like, a daycare. I was like, a daycare? Lord, I don't want to do no daycare. Like, I've been in daycare all my life. Please, can I get away from the daycare? But she was like, I'm like, you know what? Okay, what would you name it?
We had
Nonprofits, World Changers. Oh, okay. So that's we named it, right?
Yeah.
And what's funny is before the daycare, we started another business together. We started Hue Events.
Okay.
Helena Upscale Events is an acronym.
Okay.
And we actually did that. And life is so crazy. Divine. God put us in a scenario where I was still doing finance at the time. I was told to buy a ticket to a conference that I did not want to pay for. My wife ended up purchasing a ticket. She said, just go. Okay. I went. But this specific day, because it was like a 2 or 3 day conference, I took Fred with me. And I was like, you know, I took him everywhere. I don't know what my wife did. Fred is with me all the time, even out staying on stage. But nevertheless, Fred went with me, and then I'll see a guy. He's very tall, but I see this dark skinned, big guy. I can see the glory of God all on this man. I was like, what the heck? And then I see that he's a transformational speaker. And me, I love speaking, not only just declaring the word of God, but I believe that we're living epistles. So even if I'm telling you about finances or whatever I'm telling you, you're going to feel the word of God come out of me. I just see the glory of God on this man. And I look at him, I said, yo, one day, me and you are going to be on the same ticket. Side note, prophecy was fulfilled this past weekend. Nevertheless, he was like, what? Okay. So he ended up getting our information. So he does business consulting. So my wife at the time, she's working for the, as an event coordinator, activities director. And my wife's complaining. I don't like something. Like, well, baby, you need to move out of that. She's like, well, I don't do the what you do. You know, you do the stuff that like entrepreneur stuff. I don't do I'm not an entrepreneur. I've never done it before. I don't even know where my money gonna come from. I'm like, baby, so nevertheless, he sits with us and does I forgot what he called it. Some type of what did he call it? But he called it something. It was business planning though. I forgot what he called it, but it was on a graph, and he started asking us questions. And specifically, he was like, you know what? I don't know why, but I feel led of the Lord to ask your wife, what does she do? I'm like, sure. My wife, she does balloons. He's like, Helena, because he's from Antigua. He's like, I don't think you just do balloons. I think you guys do events. And it clicked because remember when I told you when we met, we were planning somebody's wedding. That wasn't for no reason. So we're like, okay, let's start to get to the nitty gritty of this thing. So he broke it down for an hour, him and his wife. We started our first business together called Hue Events. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. Where do we start? I'm like, where do we start? Then my mom, and my sister, they also did events. But they're like, what, my sister's like, I want to go into something different. I was like, okay. My mom was like, oh man, she's like, what are y'all doing? Like, are y'all doing anything down there? I'm like, yeah, we started the balloon, we want to do something with the balloon. My wife liked balloon, but it's called, Hue Events now. My mom was like, come up to Ohio, drive a truck down. I'm like, what you want me to bring? She said, everything. $20,000 worth of equipment that we still have to this day. Yeah. And we do free events for people who are like a church and stuff like that. And then we also do paid events still to this day. And then once we had a year of that, Mama prophesied. She said, come March, things are going to grow. Well, guess what? We didn't really need to advertise that because word of mouth, we got repeated business. Yeah. Well, from that, then the daycare came because my nephew had got killed. And it's gonna be a long testimony, so we'll have to fly past that. But my mom saw this strength in me that she'd never seen before, and she's like, "Wow, like he's really taking care of business, not being in emotion." Because I helped raise him. He's like a son, I was like, "Wow, I'm gonna be able to do a daycare," because the Lord was speaking to me. He said, "Ask your mom if she can start a daycare." And I said, "Okay." I didn't want to because I even talked to my wife. I'm like, I don't want to start a daycare with my mom. My mom's so old school. She got her own way of doing things. We got our own way. But I had to obey God. And I did. I said, Mom, let's start a daycare. You, Pops, me, my wife, let's start a daycare together. She like, okay, let's do it. She like the way you showed maturity and you took care of the business for the family during Tavion's funeral and stuff. Like, I would love to. Okay, she said, just start looking for a building. Well, my mom went to come visit us. I forgot when. So she came down, and my mom does not do church at that time. Remember I told you my parents weren't in church. They got their faith looking at me. I've been in ministry 10 years. So how they see my life change is how they started to believe that their God was for real. You know what I mean? Because I lived with them a few times, even grown, and I didn't do the things that I used to do. So she came down, and I'm like, Mom, you want to come to my church? I'm like, baby, you better make sure you come to church. So my mom came. She came to GRU, the old GRU, like back at the old building. And she was like, during prayer, the prophet wasn't even prophesying. Somebody else was speaking, I forgot. But my mom was called out by, literally, the prophet came. I called her out. And he said a few things, but one thing specific he said was, the government is going to give you a grant. And you're going to be able to, I don't know, expand your child, he said. And lo and behold, this is so crazy. It's divine. I want to say it's crazy, but my mom sent me a message. It was a screenshot. She didn't even text me nothing. She just sent me a picture. $500,000 was awarded to her to expand her business. Jesus. Ah. And I was like, my prophet literally just told me. Yeah. And she was like, hey, just don't tell him how much. I said, no, I'm going to tell him how much. Then it was a liar. I'm going to tell him. Because the word didn't come out yet. It wasn't made public yet. So I was like, wow, I'm still have to tell them. So at the time, because they had their own money, they actually opened up a childcare in Ohio at the same time. We opened ours first, but they were able to then give us money, spot us, right, as a seed. She called it a seed, planted it in us to start a childcare here in Texas. And the same scenario that happened before with the equipment, she said, hey, fly up here. Come up here and come get some equipment. So I go to her and her best friend's daycare and drive another truck back with like $30,000 worth of equipment. Again, Jesus, for the childcare. So that's how the childcare became. Her and my dad gave us a seed. But it started off where there was a Crown of King conference. This is why it's good to sow. Crown of King conference. We had a meeting. I still got the video. It was like about 10, 15 of us. I forgot. But nevertheless, we were trying to raise some money for Crown and King conference. I'm like, text my mom, like, Mom, I said we're trying to, raise money for this conference. She sent some money, and I forgot how much she sent, maybe $200, something like that. They're like, what the heck? Your mom just sent that money? I was like, yeah, Mama, I'm getting prophesied out of my mom in video. I'll show you offline. And from this day, we have crazy favor. Crazy favor.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah. And the sacrifice, because, we didn't have no money. My wife had to quit her job. I was going through like a little depression at the time too, with losing my nephew. So I wasn't working right. You know what I mean? I just got a settlement, like $40,000 settlement. They paid for my car and all of that. They gave us some money. So we were able to do a little bit, you know what I mean, at the time. My mom was like, during the process of getting the daycare situated, she said, I know you guys may be struggling financially, especially during this time. I'm going to spot you guys. I'm going to pay your rent until you guys get on your feet with the daycare. Bro, she did that for about 8 months. Her and my dad. And me and my wife went to work, planning everything, structuring everything, and finding a place for the daycare. I mean, it was so supernatural. We signed everything and was open in less than 45 days after signing the lease, a month prior. That is unheard of. All of our documents was in place. Everything was so pristine to the point where right now, if you try to start a child care and, there's a thing, called CCMS where the government pays for the child. Daycares at that time start to get cut off. And you wouldn't be able to receive that CCMS until after that first year. We made everything just in time. Yeah.
Wow. That's such a blessing.
And it's so ironic because meeting him and meeting his mom, she, when we first met each other, we did the same thing. Yeah, I was running daycares, but she was the owner of daycare centers, and we had so much in common when it came down to that. And she was like, wow, we're going to do this thing. We're going to do this together. And she always said, she didn't even know me for that long. And she, she poured so much in me to show me the ropes about childcare that I thought I knew, but the business side that I didn't know. And I just thank God for her life because and how God orchestrated just that much for me. I used to say that all the time when I was a kid. I kept saying, I'm from Chicago, I ain't got no money, we ain't got no money. I won't open up a daycare. Where's the money? I won't do that. And for God to actually send destiny helpers and to put me in a position to now I'm an owner of a child care center, it's big. Because those are the things. I still got my binder from high school. Well, everything that I wanted, everything that I, thought I could have. And I'm just like, because how that work?
So we got a third business, which is the finance. And my wife was like, babe, please support me with this. First, she did not.
Yeah.
But when I got to Primerica, my wife was like, and even my mom never told me, like, you don't need to stop doing that. I'm like, oh my God. That's to the daycare. My mom called me. She said, do not leave. It's like, don't. She's like, I've never seen you make it so high up. Like, we're year to date number one on our level in the whole state of Pennsylvania. And that's where our base is. That's
me doing stuff, that I never thought of. I got my life insurance license, and I'm like, wow. So just pressing and being obedient to God, I'm telling you, he'll unwrap the for you.
12 hours a day because we ain't have staff. My wife was watching the kids and still got her life license with a close to $2,000 bonus. I was like, God's favor is when his hand is on something, the fruit is evident. Amen. You know what I mean? Yeah. But what I love the most is when our testimony was told publicly at church, people watched us grow through that. You know what I mean? They seen the ugly. Yeah. They seen when they seen it. Trust me. The church has helped us pay our rent multiple times. Yeah. Mama has helped on the side without nobody knowing. You know what I mean? Mama said, like, when we say we love our church, love GR, like they sculpted us to do so much greater than we were when we got there. You know what I mean? It's just been such a blessing.
Yeah. And then doing everything together. We went through our deliverance together at GRU. Like a lot of things that we couldn't have did if we wouldn't be able to do it. And God blessed us. tremendously due to our obedience, and we still serve. We still do everything that He's telling us to do and more. It's just trust the process to be obedient.
Man that findeth the wife finds favor, and the favor is following you guys. God is so faithful. That's so good. You guys want to shout out your daycare information, like if people want to contact you all, and I'll have it in the description below as well.
Definitely. We operate a child care center from 6 weeks to 13 years old out in Hoffman City, Texas, called White Scholars Academy. If you want to check our website out, it's whitescholaracademy.com. Is it?
I think it's join
WSA now. WSA.org.
We're gonna get you.
It'll be in description.
Yeah. Join WSA. Other than that, I don't have anything. Okay. I'm just excited about it.
Okay. Well, I'm so blessed to have you guys, and I pray that this conversation blessed you guys that will be watching this. I will have all of the descriptions below, social media, the website. If you want to support or donate, it'll be on the website. So I thank you guys for tuning in. Before we go, Prophet Anthony, do you want to close us out in prayer?
Yes, Father, we just thank you and we glorify you for everything that was said. I ask that in when opportunities arise and they heard these things and they were able to be watered with your word, Father, I pray that something is executed to give your name the honor, the glory, and the praise. I pray that this podcast literally explodes. I pray that the expectations for this podcast is literally ignited, like blow the roof off of this place. I ask, oh God, that even destiny helpers are commanded to proper position in the right posture. I pray that she's ready when it's time for people to invest into her vision. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen, you guys. See you guys next week. Y'all be blessed.